Hey everybody, what's going on? Brett Swarts here with Dan Palmer again. Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast and YouTube channel, also Build It to Billions. And we're interested in our weekly debrief and or educational journey on this capital gains tax exit planning. And the theme for today is all about time. In fact, time is our most precious commodity. It's the one thing we can never get back. And, time can be in your favor, and time can also, do the opposite. In fact, you can lose momentum. You can lose time, as it's saying, that time kills deals, right? And time can kill the buyer who's trying to buy your property. Interest rates not coming down or banks not being more flexible with their terms can kill deals. Lots of different things, but Dan, we're seeing just how long deals can take. Dan, and you've been doing this for about a year now, right? And you're kind of getting a sense for sometimes it's hurry up and wait. Sometimes it's just like, I thought we had it, and then the buyer is stalled or something's happened. But walk us through how you're seeing time as it pertains to capital gains tax exit planning.
Yeah, real estate's, when you're dealing with people with, real estate investments where they have a long closing period, you have to kind of be prepared for that. If you're a normal salesperson where you're selling something and the gratification's immediate because you either close the deal or you don't, you kind of get the thrill of it and you move on to the next thing. But what I've found here is that, it might be 30, 60, 90, 120 days until the exit, and so you enter in the beginning and they might be like, I'm 100% on board, and then there's a delay and a delay and a delay, and it can be discouraging. It can be a little demoralizing. Are we ever going to get to the end of the thing? And then especially when you wait and you recalibrate, you move back, and then you get 90, 120 days, and then, for whatever reason, the deal falls through or they don't do it, you can feel like, man, I just spun my wheels for a really long time. And so you've got to keep the positive mindset of, keep that momentum going, not just with the deal, but the momentum internally to stay locked in and motivated when you have to wait a long time for the gratification of the close. So that's kind of what I've seen over the last year, and I've felt the ups and downs of it, because I'm used to I'm a very urgent in the moment. Hey, here's an opportunity. I'm 100% in, but when you have to hurry up and wait, you can see that wane over time. It's like, whatever, this isn't going anywhere. And you can lose that momentum. And so for me, it's keeping that internally has been the struggle in this new industry that I joined into.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, especially if you're exiting a business, your business could be real estate, your business could be your business. And you want to maintain this momentum of this big, exciting exit. And you also want to maintain, a positive state of mind when you're exiting, because this is a big change. It's an emotional and psychological shift from like your identity of where you've been, what you've built, who you are, right, what you do. And we're so, as entrepreneurs and business owners and such, we're so wrapped up, especially in the American culture of that's who we are, right, is what we do, right, and what we've accomplished. And part of that is good, right, because it helps us to drive forward, helps us to drive innovation, helps us to create jobs, helps us to, keep us going. But for many founders, it's an end of an era that requires even, maybe it's been decades of hard work, risk taking, and resilience to build it. And now when it's time to sell and you're looking at strategies like the DST, it can feel like a leap of faith and a leap of like a new chapter that's unfolding. And you're in between this world of just change and high stakes. And so the idea of time and momentum comes in. And so we believe, time is your greatest ally, especially when it's in your favor. You can compound the effect of deferring taxes and compound the ability to build wealth. That's number one. But number two, it can also be your enemy if the buyer is taking too long, if the things are uncontrollables, such as interest rates, such as political uneasiness, such as just the overall economy and recession potential opportunity, things that are happening. All of these things come into mind. And so you just have to know that if you're going into the exit planning with us or anyone you're looking at, that you're going to have to be resilient, you're going to have to charge forward. You can't get too ahead of your skis with your emotions, because it can cause a situation where you're let down because the buyer backs out or something gets stalled. We thought the year of 2024 was the year of the pregnant deal, and we're sensing more deals in 2025, but it's a little bit of a roller coaster, right? Like Dan's saying, like people are like, yes, I'm ready to go, and oh, my buyer's ready to go, and then maybe not, right? And it feels, Dan, like we're getting past and getting momentum, and then a little bit pulls back. But any other thoughts or wisdom on that, Dan?
Yeah, I think, there's a million different things out of our control. I'm a big relationship person. So for me, like, I've always engendered big trust because of the relationships that I build with people. And I think that's one of the things that's difficult too, because, you have a couple, if you have a quick close, like 30 days, come in, we're having our initial meeting, we're having a proposal call, we're having an investment allocation, and we're spending regular time with an individual or a couple over the 3 to 4 weeks, and you feel that trust build up, it closes, you move forward. That seems very easy, but when you have 4 months or 5 months or 6 months in between a close, obviously you're not talking every week. You might not be talking even every 2 weeks. It might be like, hey, we're kind of in a holding pattern. We'll get back to you next month. And so you have this period of time, but there's a lot of other people around them that are in their ear. And for me, talking to our clients, I know the Deferred Sales Trust is such a powerful tool for most people. They're like, I've done everything else throughout my career, and I just wish I knew about the Deferred Sales Trust earlier. So I've had all those conversations with our other clients. But these people that don't know, in this interim period of time where they're waiting for their deal, they have people that have relationships with them that are in their life. And those people have no incentive to go, yeah, do the deferred sales. They're normally trying to come up with alternate things that they can present. And so sometimes I feel like that slides in and blows the deal up, because they're like, we're ready to go. If it was 30 days, we would go boom, 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 boom through our meetings and close. But now there's this period of time where it's kind of dead, and you have these other people that have, years and years of relationship that are kind of, oh, you might want to do this, and I just feel like they get in the middle of the relationship and can cause problems. And then you pick it back up, and you're picking back up from the third meeting that you had 30 days ago, but in that 30 days, they've wavered, someone's come in and poisoned them, or what, and now you're entering like, hey, we're picking right back up where we left off, but they're in a totally different place. And so trying to figure that out as you go, I think, becomes difficult. So for me, time hasn't been a friend. It makes it a little more difficult. You can still overcome all those things, but I wasn't aware in the beginning that time could be a killer like that. I like the quick thing, boom, 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 and like you're building the relationship, the momentum's going, the enthusiasm's there, and then you close, and then they see the results. And like all of our clients, they go, hey, it was everything that you said. And that's the point where you're like, okay, see, but there's trust until you get there. You have to trust that it's going to be everything you said. And so, I think those are my thoughts on it being, in the driver's seat, having these conversations with people who start as strangers, but very quickly you're trying to build a relationship to basically manage the biggest exit of their entire life. So, over 30 days, you've never met me 30 days ago, and now you're going to entrust your life's work to me. I realize that that's a tough jump, but the time, I think, makes it more difficult because of other voices that seep in.
Spot on. And this is why we're creating content now. We're encouraging you to take steps, even if you're not looking to sell and in the near future. In fact, most of the sellers that founders and entrepreneurs and business owners, Bitcoin owners, real estate owners, they're not, a lot of them aren't, I'd say 80% of them aren't even thinking about selling until the offer shows up. And now they have 30, 60, or 90 days to make a decision. And even then, like, they may or may not have done any of the planning. And so they're still not finding us until they're 30 days from closing. When they're actually, talk with their CPA and go, oh my gosh, look at my tax bill. And so now I should start doing the planning. And so it starts to squeeze the ability to make clear deliberate decisions. Now, the advantage of having more time, right, and doing planning, it helps you to basically make calm, clear decisions rather than rush ones, such as like the 1031 exchange if you're going for that. The other part of this is momentum. You have to think about the momentum of your sale, the momentum of your exit, and maintaining that momentum. Momentum is so much harder to create from the beginning than it is to keep it going, right? And so momentum is your greatest ally, right? In fact, there's a saying that we have, one of our core values is basically get more momentum. And it's in the idea that momentum is stronger than all of our leadership, strategy, and resources combined, right? So greater than the sum total of all of those, momentum is greater than all of those. And the idea is, how do you create and sustain momentum for your exit planning with the M&A advisors, with your team for transitioning to the new leadership? How do you create and sustain momentum long term? And it's by having time on your side and being your friend to plan deliberately, use strategies that let you to compound. There's a book, Compound Your Wealth, Compound the funds that are coming. There's a book called Buy Back Your Time with Dan Martell, right? And he talks about, hire and invest that actually buys back your time. Don't hire and invest for growth. If you do it to buy back your time, you will grow. But if you're just thinking about making more money for it, it's not a great mindset. And so he says, hire to buy back your time. We would say build an exit plan to buy back your time. This is why we focus like a laser on what's called truly passive income. And we think this is the best way to sustain and maintain massive momentum. In fact, it's like a tidal wave of transformation, because you went from trading all of your time and energy, or most of your time and energy, for your income, for your wealth, to all of a sudden this harvest is happening. Not only is it harvesting the ability to unlock that capital to multiply your freedom and impact, but it's also harvesting a pathway for you to free up your time and your energy and your mental space, and sleeping well at night, and getting out of that debt, and not dealing with toilets, trash, and termites, and for the next 1031 exchange, or not having to, with Bitcoin, if you're a Bitcoin owner, not having to, ride the wave from 110,000 a coin to 80,000 a coin and back up again. And it's giving you the ability to say, I have durable, consistent, truly passive income coming in, and this is like I would say even more of a supplement, but like just a massive boost in your momentum, right? Where people look up and go, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize the time and the energy that I was taking to own this property or own this business. Now that it's past me, and it usually takes about 3 to 6 months, we found with founders or clients, and all of a sudden they look up one day and they go, whoa, it's behind me. It's truly behind me. And I have this open vision for my time and my energy. So that's the positive side of doing this with a team that helps you execute this. And the last thing I'll say here is, and it's perhaps the most important, it's key, right? It's guarding your state of mind, right? And it's perhaps the most overlooked part of this. And as you transition, you want to always make sure you're maintaining the gratitude for what you were able to build, the relationships you're able to have, and the dreams you're able to achieve. Stay curious so you have an ability to grow to something else that maybe is the new season for your life, right? There's a book I'm reading. I have a 6-year-old son, and Dan has 3 sons, and it works for sons and daughters, but particularly this is like how a dad can raise the son. And the son starts out at a stage, as a boy, and they move into manhood, and they move into basically these stages of warrior, king, sage, right? And there's one other before that, I forgot what it's called, but I think it's like being a boy. But in helping to do that, and you might be moving from a warrior to a king, or a king to a sage, and this transition. And so maintaining the gratitude, maintaining the curiosity, and maintaining the ability to do that next season of your life. And again, we think that truly passive income and having the momentum from the exit to have an extra 20, 30, 40, 50% working for you versus being taxed is part of the foundational pillar to help you with that momentum. So Dan, any last thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think that those are all really good things to consider. I think you're nailing it right on the head. For me, I think with our clients, it's that exit is such a giant deal that you have to get there before you see what happens. And you were talking about the people that were buying back their time, but it's really more than that, because they're running this business and they have all these headaches and employees and problems and tenants they're dealing with, and they exit. And the thing that blows my mind is they exit, the trust invests the money, it starts producing a return, and they're like, I have more cash flow now than when I was doing all of that work with all of those headaches and all of those problems and all of that stress. And for me, seeing that burden that they didn't even know they were carrying get lifted off, and they're like, so every month that truly massive income is just going to hit my account, but I don't have the headaches, the tenants, the taxes, all of the problems I was dealing with before, the stress I was carrying, and you see how it changes their life. I wish they could get a taste of that before, because they have to have faith before they get to the promised land, right?
True.
And people like, I want the promised land first, so I know what I'm doing. If I'm gonna, but it's like, man, if you could just see it, it would be the easiest decision in the world. And so, when you're talking about buying back time, I think it's more than that, because it's also the stress and the headaches and the problems that could arrive when you're elbow deep in the problems. You could have another pandemic or something out of your control that blows your whole strategy up, and you haven't got out yet. But once they get out, they're like, I'm out. And the money is going to keep, it doesn't matter what happens in the world, like, I'm just going to have that check hitting my account. So for me, I love seeing that. I just wish that the length of time for the close didn't create so many obstacles for us to get them to where we know it's in their best interest to get.
Spot on, Dan. I could agree with you more. Anything worthwhile, it's uphill all the way, right? And we want to help you finish really well when you exit, maintain and build and massive momentum with your cash flow. And that really it's a new game, and it's a new scoreboard. The scoreboard has changed. You're not just chasing revenue and growth of the company. You're stewarding legacy now, time freedom, generational wealth, being able to give more, all of it away. It's also why we started the podcast, Build It to Billion, so you can give more, all of it away. And so we're going to encourage you to keep your mindset elevated. Don't get discouraged when the buyer, hesitates, or when financing falls through, or when your CPA is, nervous and cautious about our strategies that we're offering, right? Keep the positive mindset, keep the discussion lines open, invite the CPA to the calls. 9 out of 10 join us, and they're so happy that you brought them to the call to get educated on what we do and how we do it. Remember, there's a CPA and a tax attorney that's representing you, who we think is this, if not this, I know the smartest person I've ever met. Dan, maybe with some smart people too. He's a genius at what he does, right? But we're here to serve you and your family to make great decisions. And we also always promise to never talk you into anything that we don't think it's a great fit for you. And also give you the ability to say the same thing to us if it's not a great fit. Just let us know. That's really it for today. If you want to take action and you want to learn more, meet with me or Dan or one of our team members, you go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We also we wrote a book on this, and it's called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. And we have Kevin here from Shark Tank and a few other really smart people like Tony Robbins, one of his CPAs that he works with, in the book. And it's all about building a capital gains tax exit plan. You've built your business, your Bitcoin empire, your real estate empire, whatever it is. You keep selling stock, other crypto, a primary home, and you want to have a plan and a solution. Well, you got to build it right now. Start with the book, get on a call with us, download our free ebook at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And other than that, we appreciate everyone listening or watching. Please share this with someone that could change their life, literally change their life. And we're in the life transformation business with capital gains tax exit planning. I'm Brett Swarts. This is Dan Palmer, and we'll talk to you all again real soon. Bye now.